Okay, the example was the harassed booking clerk. So example was a theater employs a booking clerk during the day. The clerk is employed to sell tickets and answer any queries which may arise. Booking are accepted only if customer turns up in person and pays for the ticket. Inquiries can come either from someone there in person or from someone phoning the theater. Calls are put in a queue and no callers ring off out of frustration. Persons arriving to the theater queue before they are served by the clerk. Draw ACD for the system. So ACD means activity cycle diagram. So like stock and flow or causal loop diagram in system dynamics, here we will develop activity cycle diagram. So in order to develop an activity cycle diagram, we need to understand first what are the activities, that means entities, and their state. Entities and their states. Okay. So in this particular example, the entities are, there are couple of entities. Let us try to identify the entity first. We said there are three entities in this example: the booking clerk, personal inquirers, and the phone call. So in this particular system, the theater employs a booking clerk. So without booking clerk, no ticket can be sold, no phone calls can be entertained, no personal inquiries can be answered. Okay? So the person himself or herself, the booking clerk, is very important here. So if we talk about the system in this theater, how the theater starts, if we talk about the system, booking clerk is the first entity. The clerk is employed to sell all tickets and answer any inquiries which may arise. So without booking clerk, if you can again remember, let me go back, the concept of, এগুলো আমরা শেষ করেছিলাম তো না?
জি স্যার।
Okay. If you can remember the concept of operation of the entities, so সেখানে আমরা, we talked about the resources, and from the resources we said there are events and activities. Okay. So any entity like the booking clerk, here in this example, is accompanied by an event and activity. So event policy, this is an instant of time at which significant state change occurs in the system, such as when an operation began. Say, for example, you received, as a booking clerk, you received a telephone call. Received a telephone call is an event. Or maybe somebody is in your door or in your counter, so you are talking to him or her, okay, or the event. And activity means, in this particular event, when you entered in your door or in your counter, activity starts. Entities engage in operation during the simulation, and some of these operations define important events in the simulation. Actions and procedures that are initiated are called activities. So if you receive money and give him ticket, is an activity. So given this, here the clerk employed to sell the tickets. So the clerk, booking clerk, he is engaged in some activities, selling the tickets, okay? Then answering the calls. So bookings are accepted only if the customer turns up in person and pays the ticket. Then inquiries can come either from someone who is in person or over the phone, someone phoning the theater. So here, the people who are asking variety of questions to know about, okay, inquirers, then can be another entity. Then calls are put in queue. When you are calling over phone call is an activity. Okay, so phone call is an activity because when you call the phone, you dial, and the booking clerk, has to receive it and start talking. Okay. So if you can understand this, entities in the systems are the booking clerk, the personal inquirers, the phone call. So we need to identify the state of these entities. Okay. We said when the discrete event simulation takes place, entities with the events and activities, entities change their state. So we need to understand, we talked about the types of states, the two types of state. One is active state, another is dead state. And they come by turn. Active state and dead states come by turn. So here you see the booking clerk first should be from a dead state to active state, then again so on. Dead state can be called idle and active state is active state. So state of the entity booking clerk, first, it starts from idle. What is that? Requires no other entity. As we know, idle means it doesn't interact with any other entity. So requires no other entity because it is in dead state. What can be the dead state here, suppose? Requires no other activity is like idle or dead state. This dead state might be booking clerk. He was somewhere. Booking clerk is not in any action. Booking clerk is just sitting down. So booking clerk who is in somewhere, still not in the booking center, or he is in the booking center, but no telephone call, no person, no people in person asking any queries. That means it is the dead state of the booking clerk. Then active state starts serving a personal caller. So a person who is calling requires the entity personal inquirer active state. So booking clerk will answer the question of the personal inquirer if somebody calls or if somebody comes in person, talk to him, that is an active state. Answering phone call requires the entity phone call, active state. So আমরা যখন বলেছি the dead state means you do not require, and a particular entity doesn't require to interact with other things, other entities, but an active state means the entity requires to engage with other entities. Then it is active state. So you understand active and dead state. Here we describe the active and dead state of the booking clerk. So you identified he will be in idle state. Then active state might be he is talking to the personal inquirer or he is talking to someone over phone, answering the phone call will be the active state. When there is no phone call, when there is no people coming into the center or into the counter physically, then he is in dead state. State of the entity, personal inquirer. Personal inquirer comes from where? Any idea? Personal inquirer, he or she comes from where? Hello, are you there?
ইয়ে স্যার স্যার আমি স্যার জানি না, এটা আমি পারছিলাম না এটা।
আচ্ছা, এখন মনে করো ঢাকা ইউনিভার্সিটিতে একটা কনসার্ট হবে, হ্যাঁ, তো তোমরা কনসার্ট অর্গানাইজ করেছো, টিকিট বিক্রির জন্য বলেছো, ঠিক আছে, বিজনেস ফ্যাকাল্টিতে একটা বুথ বানিয়েছো, এখানে আসবে, অত একটা টেলিফোন নাম্বার দিয়েছো, সেই টেলিফোন নাম্বারে কেউ বুকিং দিতে পারে না। আর এই কনসার্টে যারা আসবে কাস্টমার, ওরা কি এখন লাহোরে আছে, না দিল্লিতে আছে, না নেপালে আছে, কাঠমান্ডুতে আছে, ওটা তোমার জানার ব্যাপার না, তাই না? তুমি যদি বলে দাও only people from Bangladesh currently in this country, in this geographical area only can buy the ticket, ওকে, তাহলে এটা অন্য ধরনের একটা মোড় নিবে। I mean, our entity and activity এর রিকোয়ারমেন্টস অন্য ধরনের হবে। হ্যাঁ, আমরা যখন সিস্টেম ডেভেলপ করি, we need to understand what is my system boundary. System boundary হলো somebody is coming into the center or in the booth, you will be selling ticket or you will be asking, he will be asking question or you can ask question and he'll answer. তাহলে সে কি এখন ঘুমিয়ে আছে, না এখন সকালে নাস্তা করতেছে, না অফিসে যাচ্ছে, দ্যাট ইজ নট আওয়ার হেডেক। বুঝা গেল তো? সে কি বাসে আছে, না প্লেনে আসতেছে, তারপরে আমাদের এখানে আসবে, দ্যাট ইজ নট আওয়ার হেডেক। ওকে, আওয়ার হেডেক উড বি হোয়েন হি কামস টু আওয়ার বুথ, এবং সে বুথে এসে যদি আমাদের কোনো একটা টিকিট নেয় অথবা আমাদের সাথে কথা বলার জন্য কিউতে দাঁড়ায়, দেন হি ইজ ইন আওয়ার প্রিমিসেস, দেন উইল কনসিডার হিম টু বি দ্য এলিমেন্ট উইদিন দ্য সিস্টেম, আদারওয়াইজ নট। সুতরাং পার্সোনাল ইনকোয়ারার when he is outside বলতে এটা বোঝাচ্ছে আউটসাইড অফ দ্য বুথ, তোমাকে যে বুথে বসানো দেওয়া হয়েছে এখানে কেউ আসলে তুমি কথা বলবো outside of the booth, that is called outside, a dead state. ঠিক আছে, এখন সে ড্রাইভ করে আসতেছে, গাড়ি শাহবাগ দিয়ে ঢুকতে দিচ্ছে না, দ্যাট ইজ নট ইউর হেডেক। তোমার হেডেকটা আরম্ভ হবে যখন সে তোমার সামনে একটা কিট দাঁড়িয়ে গেছে এসে, সো ইউ হ্যাভ টু সার্ভ হিম, মেবি আফটার 1 minute 2 minutes, অর এ পার্সন হু ইজ কলিং, কল করে তোমার কল করতেছে, এখানে রিং হচ্ছে মানে হি গনা বি কানেক্টেড, সো ইট ইজ ইউর ডিউটি টু সার্ভ হিম। বিফোর রিংস, যদি পার্সোনাল না এসে রিং করে, বিফোর ইট রিংস উই ডোন্ট নো হু ইজ হি অর শি। ওকে, রিং হলেই আমাদের কি করতে হবে, টেলিফোনটা ধরতে হবে। সো state of the inquirer means he is in dead state when the person is outside of my booth. এই যে বুকিং সেন্টার এসে না আসা আগ পর্যন্ত it is called outside. What he is doing, he is in the office or he is eating or he is driving, it is not our concern. That is called his, maybe সে অন্য একটা সিস্টেমে এঙ্গেজ তখন। সাপোজ মনে করো সে আসতেছে তোমার মেট্রোতে আসতেছে মিরপুর থেকে। তো আমাদের মেট্রো সিস্টেমকে ইফ ইউড লাইক টু সিমুলেট দ্য মেট্রো সিস্টেম, তখন সে করবো মেট্রো টিকিট কিনছে কিনা। বাট ফর দিস পার্টিকুলার থিয়েটার বুকিং ক্লার্ক, metro is not an important issue. Whether he is in the metro or he is waiting to for the metro, that is not our concern. So we'll consider all people in the plane, in the car, walking, they are outside. Arrival means the person is now in front of you, he is in the booking center, then it is called arrival. So arrival is an active state, assumes to need an imaginary entity outside the theater. Okay, somebody arrived in your premises, so you have to serve him. He's an active state, he arrived. Okay, suppose you arrived in the classroom, এবার ক্লাসরুমে আসার পরে you arrived in the exam hall আসার পরে অন্য একটা এন্টিটি, that means he or she, the professor or the any instructor, invigilator, তোমাকে তখন হয়তো খাতা দেবে না, কোশ্চেন দেবে। So you understand, arrival is an active state. Then you see, arrival এর পরে তুমি যখন সেখানে আসবে, when he arrives, maybe যদি সিস্টেম থাকে অ্যারাইভ করে সে একটা টিকিট নিবে, টিকিট নিলে he will be in the queue. That is an activity, arrival activity. But once he is in the queue, again he goes to the dead state. Queueতে দাঁড়িয়ে আছে। If you are in the queue, no interaction is required to be an active state here. Okay? যখন আবার কিউ থেকে যেতে যেতে কিউটা যখন শেষে, you will be in front of the booking clerk, অথবা তুমি পরীক্ষা হলে বসে আছো, ঢুকছো, একটা এন্ট্রি হলো সাপোজ, অ্যাক্টিভ স্টেট তোমার ফিঙ্গারপ্রিন্ট দিয়ে ঢুকলা, ঢুকার পরে then maybe when the question paper or the exam paper will be given, একটা অ্যাক্টিভিটি আরম্ভ হবে। বিফোর দ্যাট ইউ আর ওয়েটিং। ওকে, তুমি সেখানে ওয়েটিং করে করে কি করতেছো, পড়তেছো। সাপোজ তোমার কাছে একটা বই আছে, বই পড়তেছো, এখনো 10 মিনিট বাকি আছে, এটাকে আমরা অ্যাক্টিভ স্টেট বলবো না, কারণ পরীক্ষার সিস্টেমের সাথে এর কোনো সম্পর্ক নাই। পরীক্ষা আবার তোমাকে যখন খাতা দেবে ও কোশ্চেন দেওয়া হবে, টাইম স্টার্ট রাইটিং, দেন ইউ উইল স্টার্ট again. So when you enter in the hall or in front of booking clerk, if you are in the queue, before you talk to the booking clerk, এই queue সময়টাকে আমরা বলবো this is a dead state. Okay, so arrival is an active state, queue for the service is a dead state. Serviced, require the entity booking clerk, active state. তাকে সার্ভ করা হচ্ছে, কথা বলা হচ্ছে, সাপোজ আইডি চাওয়া হচ্ছে, পেমেন্ট দেওয়া হচ্ছে, তাকে টিকিট দেওয়া হচ্ছে, these are again active state. So active state and dead state comes by turn. Then if we talk about the state of the entity, what we call phone call, আমরা তিনটা আইডেন্টিফাই করেছি এখানে ফোন কল। তাহলে ফোন কলের দেখো ডেড স্টেট ফার্স্ট। before you make a call to the center or to the booking clerk, individual customer যারা আসতেছে, what you call the caller, সেই কলার কোথায় ছিল, কি করতেছিল, that is not our headache. Again, either he was busy with his official job, he is a student or busy with his assignment or study, busy with family work activity, we don't care. He might be in active state of other system, but not the booking system. Okay, so he was outside elsewhere before he start calling the or phoning the theater, that is called dead state. Then when he make a call, ringer rings. Okay, that is called, the call is an active state, you are on call, the active state. So in an active state, because you are engaged with other entity. Okay. Wait for the services, again dead state. কলের ভিতরে আমরা ওয়েট করি, হোল্ড অন প্লিজ, অথবা তুমি টেলিফোন করতেছো বাট টেলিফোন রিং হচ্ছে কিন্তু কেউ এখন ধরতেছে না। ওকে, টেলিফোন যখন রিং হইতে আরম্ভ করলো ওটাকে আমরা বলবো active state, but an event started, but before it is received by other people, activity হবে না। Okay, so dead state. Then talk, require the entity booking clerk. So booking clerk and the caller, এই দুইজনে মিলে আমরা তখন কথা বললাম, that is an active state. এর ভিতরে we can identify so many states or so many entities as well. Suppose যখন আমি টেলিফোন করলাম, somebody is calling, তাহলে it is expected that the booking clerk will receive the call. এবার যদি আমরা সিমুলেট করতে যাই, আবার এটা গ্রামীণ ফোনের সেট, সাপোজ গ্রামীণ ফোনের কানেকশন, তাহলে টেলিফোন করলে প্রথম কোথায়, কোত্থেকে, কোন ওয়েবের মাধ্যমে আসে, ওই সিস্টেম নিয়ে কথা বললে আবার তাহলে গ্রামীণ ফোনের আমাদের a discrete event simulation, I mean call, how the call works, ওর উপরে আমাদের আবার সিমুলেট করতে হবে। ওকে, সো সেটা আমাদের সিস্টেমের ভিতরে না, we are excluding that one from the system. So if you can remember these three, booking clerk, personal inquirer, and the phone call, and their active and dead state, active and dead state. Now using this we can develop a activity cycle diagram of the booking center. So activity cycle diagram, okay, suppose you are in idle state or dead state. So dead state is symbolized by a circle always. Dead state is symbolized by a circle. Then an active state means you are providing service or he is receiving service. And another active state is you are talking and he is interacting. So this is the first one. Number, we talked about here 3 entities. The first one is the booking clerk. So if we talk about the booking clerk, we identified his ideal state, he is serving and he is answering a phone call. So these three, a booking clerk, if we develop an entity of the clerk activity cycle diagram, okay, The clerk was idle before he received a particular call. He was in idle state. When he received a call, he talks and he goes to dead state. And again, when from the dead state, he is giving some services, either selling the ticket or receiving the money, he is in active state. And again, this person gone, he is in dead state. Is the concept clear? This is for the booking clerk. So booking clerk before, again please, booking clerk before no inquirer is calling, no person is coming, he is in idle state. When he receives a telephone call, he receives it and talks. He is in active state. Okay?
Yes, sir.
When his conversation is over, he again comes to a dead state or idle state and providing some services. Either he comes from in person or over phone, giving some services again. It is an active state and service is over. He goes to dead state before another inquirer comes. So another telephone call is coming. So this is the booking clerk activity cycle diagram. Idle, talk, idle, service. Okay? Service, talk, idle, service, providing service, become idle, and again receiving call or someone in person, talk to him, and so on. The personal inquirer activity cycle diagram. Personal inquirer, he was somewhere, we said, outside. Before he arrived in front of the booking counter, he was somewhere. মেট্রো দিয়ে আসছে, ওকে, অথবা রিক্সা দিয়ে আসছে, অথবা গাড়িতে থেকে ড্রাইভ করে গাড়ি থেকে নামছে, whatsoever. That is called outside. So he was in outside. He arrived in the counter. He or she is in the queue. Okay. Then he or she is given services. So we are talking only the personal inquirer. The personal inquirer was somewhere, arrived in the queue, and services. Now this can be in person or this can be over phone, a personal inquirer. If a personal inquirer is in person, was somewhere outside and arrived in the system, I mean in front of the booking clerk, then there are some people, so he's in the queue, then he received the services. So we know the circle are the dead state and the rectangle is the active state. If it is in person, now if it is in queue, over phone, he was somewhere outside. He make a telephone call. He is making a telephone call is ringing. Before it is, so he arrived. Before the call is received, it is ringing. So he is in queue. When the telephone call is received, he is in service. Telephone call or inquiry is done. He hanged up. When he hanged the telephone call, then he is again outside. So you understand the activity cycle diagram of the personal inquirer. Then activity cycle diagram of the phone call. Activity cycle diagram of the phone call. He or she who is calling, before the system generates a call, he or she was in outside or elsewhere. He or she was elsewhere. He or she is making a call, an active state of the telephone call system. Then Maybe it is ringing, so he is waiting. Then it is received by someone, then talk. Once talking is done, requirement is fulfilled, then he is elsewhere. Okay. Elsewhere থেকে কোথায় গেল? We don't care for that because he is calling. সে টেলিফোন করে কমপ্লিট হলো, সে আরেকটা টেলিফোন করতে পারে অনেক জায়গায়। ওকে, অথবা টেলিফোন না করতে পারে, সে অন্য কাজে ব্যাংকে যেতে পারে। দ্যাট ইজ নট আওয়ার কনসার্ন. আওয়ার কনসার্ন ইজ our service is done and what he is doing, that is a dead state for this particular booking clerk or booking system. Now, once you understand all the components of the activity cycle diagram, we need to, because this is a system, there are three parts of the system, what we call subsystem. These three subsystems to be joined together so that the booking system can work. আমরা এতক্ষণ যে তিনটে সিস্টেমের কথা বললাম, একটা হলো the booking clerk himself, personal inquirer, and the phone call or call system. These three are the integral subparts of the system. Now, to combine a system, all subparts should work together. Okay? Otherwise, যেটা আমাদের একটা বোর্ড অথবা এক্সাম সিস্টেম যদি কথা বলি, তো এক্সাম সিস্টেমের জন্য তুমি আগে সাপোজ পরীক্ষার প্রিপারেশন is a part of the exam system, maybe, or official requirements. এই যে তোমার আইডি কার্ড পাওয়া, পরীক্ষার জন্য অ্যাডমিট কার্ড পাওয়া, there are so many systems না, আর যদি বলি আমরা কোশ্চেন ডেভেলপ করা, মডারেশন করা, এই অল সাবসিস্টেমস নিয়ে এসে তারপরে আমরা এক্সাম সিস্টেমটাকে ডেভেলপ করি। So likewise here, we understand there are three subsystems identified, maybe আরো বেশি হইতে পারে। আমরা এখন তিনটে সিস্টেম আইডেন্টিফাই করেছি, three subsystems. Now, three subsystems should work together to complete the booking system. The theater booking system এর এসসিডি ভিতরে এখানে আমরা সব কম্বাইন করেছি, দেখো কিভাবে। The ACD of the theater booking system is the combination or is a combination of the activity cycle of all entities. So our one entity was the booking clerk in the middle. Another entity was the personal inquirer in the left-hand side, and the telephone call is in the right-hand side. Okay. তাহলে দেখো আমরা কিভাবে তিনটাকে একত্রে অ্যাসেম্বল করলাম। The personal inquirer and the booking clerk, when they are in active state, so the booking clerk was idle, booking clerk was idle, was doing nothing, as well as the personal inquirer, he was outside somewhere doing nothing. So both are in the dead state. Or the telephone call, the caller was elsewhere in the dead state. Okay, before any activity starts, all are in the dead state or idle state, what we call outside, elsewhere, or idle. Okay. Now, when a person is in the queue or arrived in the front desk, an active state, okay? So the booking clerk was in idle state, a person was outside, now arrived in the queue. So an active state. After arrival in the queue, he is waiting in the queue, dead state, and start talking to the booking clerk. So both are engaged in a service. So the active state starts, service is done, he is outside again. Similarly, in this right-hand side, he was in active state, idle state. He receives a call. So the caller was somewhere. He receives a call and start talking, an active state. Then call is over, again, he is in dead state. So by turn, either system had three subsystem. The middle one is the booking clerk, in right hand side is the calling system, and left hand side is someone who is the inquirer coming either physically or over phone. So we combined all these three to develop the booking system. So this is the S3 diagram. Okay, ultimate what you call activity cycle diagram. এই নিয়ে কারো কোনো কোশ্চেন আছে?
No, sir.
তাহলে আমরা নেক্সট ক্লাসে আজকে এই পর্যন্ত থাকুক, আমাকে যাইতে হবে, একটা কাজ আছে, ডিপার্টমেন্টে মিটিং আছে। সো নেক্সট ক্লাসে আমরা